So today we're going to take a quick look at charging by friction. This is one of the ways that you can charge, and it follows the rules of the electrostatic series. So what charging by friction is, it's when static charges build up on different materials that are rubbed together. So one material has a stronger attraction for electrons and will pull electrons from the other material. So essentially what happens, you have two objects, you're going to rub those two objects together. One object is going to want electrons and is going to gain electrons. The other is going to have a weaker hold and it's going to lose electrons. The object that pulls electrons is going to become negative. You're gaining negatives, therefore you become negative. The object that loses the electrons will become positive. You've lost negatives, therefore you've got an overall positive charge. So let's take a look at what that's going to look like. We have two neutral objects here. We know they're neutral because I have equal signs of plus and minus. So I've got 3 pluses, 3 minuses, they're neutral. We're going to take these two objects and I'm actually going to rub them together. So I'm rubbing them together. What's going to happen is that, let's say this material here has a greater pull for electrons. So when it rubs together, it's actually going to pull electrons from this object to this object. You can actually see them moving here. So that means overall, let's go ahead and let's see what's happening. This one now has more negatives in it, right? It has 3 positives. It has 4 negatives. The number of negatives outweigh the number of positives. This is going to be a negative object. What's happened here is this object has lost negatives. Since it's lost negatives, the numbers of positives outweigh the number of negatives. It's going to have an overall positive charge. So when you're charging by friction, you have two objects, you rub them together, and you always end up with two opposite charges, one being positive and the other being negative. Now, in the notes, you have a section on the electrostatic series. I want you to go ahead and I want you to read up on that. And you're going to use the electrostatic series to predict which one becomes positive and which one becomes negative. So essentially, it's a list of materials that have a strong hold on electrons and that have a weak hold on electrons. Whichever object has a stronger hold on electrons is the object that is going to become negative. Whatever object has a weaker hold on electrons is the object that's going to become positive. So your electrostatic series actually allows you to predict which object becomes positive and which object becomes negative. So I want you to try a couple of the practice questions that are in that section and see if you can figure out which objects are positive and which objects are negative.